Jack Ringenberg Media.
Hey everyone, welcome back to College Life Unscripted. This is the first episode back after spring break. Spring break was pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie. I think it hit like Thursday and I was ready to come back up to Ball State. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about like quizzes and tests and like the grading kind of system at Ball State. We use a thing called Lockdown Browser, which sucks. I hate it so much. And it's really annoying because like certain classes don't care if you take an exam in their class or if you take it like outside of class. I have one professor that's like every single exam will be taken in this room, and I'm just like, dude, if you have such a big problem with it, then make us like have our like cams on. But at the same time, I don't want that because I want to be able to take my exam and cheat on it. But lockdown's awful. But grading wise, so some professors only do exams in their class. Like they only do tests. They don't do any other assignments. Like that's it. That's how one of my classes is right now, and my grade is terrible because I've only taken 3 exams. There's no other assignments. There's nothing to balance it out, like nothing. And I told him, I was like struggling in his class, and I told the professor, and I was like, hey, like, do you do anything to, like offer any other assignments or extra credit? And he's like, no, like if you read my syllabus, you know that I don't offer extra credit. He was like, in the beginning of the semester, you were in 2 of my classes, so you should know that. And I was just like, well, I do know that, but I didn't know if like you'd change your mind or anything. And he's just like, no. And I was like, righty then. But I think there's one assignment in that class, but of course it's an in-class activity, so you can't just skip the class, which really sucks because if I could just skip it, I wouldn't go to that class that day. But it's the one class I have a day at 2 p.m. So like both of my classes that I have in person are both at 2 p.m. But it's just awful. Like I said, some classes only do tests or quizzes or exams. I think that they should offer more than just that. Don't like offer extra credit, but offer assignments for us to do. Like, oh, you have a bad grade in the class. Here, let me just upload like a quick 10-point assignment. Like, I understand it's not high school or anything, but it's college. It's supposed to be more difficult. I understand that. I'm here to get a degree, not get a degree. I don't know. His exams are awful as well because they take so you can only take it in the class. You can't take it outside the class. You have 55 minutes to complete the exam. And if you start it late, then you lose minutes off of that 55 minutes, which really sucks because the exam opens at 2 p.m. and then closes at 2:50 whenever the class ends. And then he gives us an 85 question exam to take. And I'm like, dude, so I got a bad grade on it because I was rushing to take it. And by the time I got done, I only had like 10 minutes left because I had started it late because of the lockdown browser. So the lockdown browser, we have to do the 2-factor authentication with Duo Mobile, and I hate it so much. So you have to like type in your BSU ID or your BSU email and then the password to your email, and then it'll pop up with a code, and then you have to put that code into Duo Mobile in order to get in. Not only to Lockdown Browser, but also like Canvas, which is so stupid. But if you don't know what Lockdown Browser is, it's basically like this app that you download like on your laptop or whatever. And if a professor it's basically that way you can't cheat. Like you're locked into that exam. Like if you try to exit out, it'll kick you out of the exam, and it'll notify your instructor like, hey, they closed out of it while they were in the middle of it. Sometimes my laptop is a little funky and it's got touchscreen. So sometimes there's like something on my screen, or like I tap the screen with my finger to answer the question and it thinks I'm trying to swipe out of it. And then it's like, if you do that again, we'll notify your instructor. And I was like, please don't do that. I was like, that's not what I'm doing. It happened once and my professor emailed me, and then I had to explain like, no, like I wasn't doing that. Okay. And then he deducted 5 points off because he just automatically assumed that I was cheating, which Okay, whatever, dude. I don't care. Yeah, and sometimes you can't get out of it, like, because it's like it takes over your like computer or whatever, and that's what sucks, because it's like you go to open it, but then it forces you to shut everything that you have, like close all the other apps that you have open, which sucks, because sometimes I'll have an essay pulled up, I'll have my internet browser pulled up, I'll have Spotify pulled up, and then it's like shut it down, and I'm just like, but you're taking over the computer screen anyway. Why do you care so much? I understand it's just a computer application, but it literally sucks so bad. I had one professor last semester that didn't even use it. He used regular Canvas because he was smart enough, and he made his notes like he made like his exams impossible to like look up unless if you took his notes. So smart, but at the same time it really sucked because he didn't use lockdown browser. Even though you weren't supposed to use your notes on it, everybody did. Like all the people that were in like my study group all used their notes. But I had failed like his first 2 exams like really bad. I didn't fail them, I just got a really bad grade on them. So like I had a D in the start of his class like that year, but then I ended up passing the class with a B. But it was just like if you don't want kids to cheat, don't make it on Canvas, but at the same time, don't make it on lockdown because lockdown sucks. But no, I do have one professor. We haven't taken an exam in his class, and I don't think we're going to. But he does a lot of like project-based things. So like, it's for this computer program called ArcGIS, which is awful. I hate it. I don't understand how it works. You have to take tutorials over it every single week, and instead of him like walking you through it, he'll get mad at you whenever you ask a question about it. So then you just sit there and you're like, why did I ask him about this thing if he's just gonna sit here and yell at me? There was one time there was a project, and I didn't start it until the day it was due, and I was like, oopsies. But I was asking him for help, and I had asked him a question, and then he yelled my question out to the whole class, and I was just like, oh, you did not have to do that. I was just sitting there like super embarrassed, and they all looked at me, and I think all these kids had used this application before, so I was just sitting there like, right, I'm sorry, like I picked up this class because I wanted to. Whoops, my bad. But it was awful. I mean, it is awful. I'm still in it, but like he's a really nice guy, but it's just like, why are you yelling my question out to everybody? Like, I don't like it being embarrassed like that. Specifically whenever I'm asking you, like, just a question about, like, hey, is this where this goes? Yes, that's all I need, dude. He's a nice guy, it's just, that's, like, his biggest downfall, is that he yells everybody's business. But my other professor, so I take 2 geography classes. Every time I talk about it, I say geometry. But I take 2 geography classes, and I took 3, but then I dropped the 1 because I was like, this sucks. So I took 101 and then 150 and then 265 all at the same time. My 150 was at 9 a.m. and my 101 was at 2 p.m. So I was learning 150 material before 101 material. But 101 material is the old material, and then this is the new material. So I was just like, okay. So I like kind of threw myself like into a storm, or like under the bus or whatever, I guess. I don't know, that makes no sense. But like I messed myself up because taking 150 before 101 just didn't help me at all. And then I'd go to 265 and he's like saying all this stuff, and I was just like, dude, I don't know this. Like, I have no idea. But then I ended up talking to my academic advisor, and I was like, I gotta drop 150. I was like, I can't do this. Because again, his class was specifically just quiz based. It was quizzes and tests, and then like an assignment every 2 weeks or something. And I was just like, I can't base my grade off of that. Like, that sucks. So then I had told him, or my advisor, I was just like going over it. I was like, all we do is just sit there, we go over the PowerPoint, and then that's it. Like, we don't do anything. I was like, another assignment would help. And he's like, we'll talk to him about that. So, like I said, I told him about it. Like, hey man, another assignment or 2 would be nice to help learn this material. And he's like, nah. I was like, oh, all right, well, these kids are in here trying to get degrees, and you're just like, they don't need to know it. Yes, they do. This is a beginner's class. Like, you have to take 101 before you can take any other class, which didn't make any sense how I was taking 150. But hey man, whatever the university says, I have to go by it, so I didn't know. But I ended up dropping 150 because I was like, I can't do this. But it was awful. I used to take a math class, so it was Math 113 and Math 114. And I love the professors so much. Shout out to Kyla. We love you. I could not stand her as a professor because we would learn new material every single day. And I had her class Monday through Friday, 10 to 10:50 or 9:30 to 10:45 every day. And I was like, oh my god, this is awful. And it was pre-calc. So I'm learning something new every day. I'm taking a quiz every other day. I'm doing homework every single day. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So I ended up dropping 114. So it's an 8-week course. So Math 113 was from the beginning of the semester to the week before spring break. And then 114 just started on Monday. Today's Tuesday, so it just started yesterday. But it was bad. She would do this thing. Oh my god. She would go over an example, and then there would be an example right next to it, and then she's like, I'll let you guys figure that one out on your own. And I'm like, Kyla, I'm not touching this shit after I get out of class. Like, I'm not going to. I was like, I don't look at the notes. I don't look like at anything. And that's what really like messed me up, was because like I didn't look at my notes. I didn't study. But where I went to high school at, some of you guys actually know this because a lot of people who listen to this I went to high school with. Like, we didn't take exams in high school. That's a really big thing that makes me really mad. So we started high school in 2020, like peak of COVID, like I think most college freshmen did. But at my school, so we left 8th grade, came in 9th grade, whatever. They had offered, if you have like a 90% or above in this class, you don't have to take the exam. And I was like, or finals. You don't have to take finals, which are basically like exams here. And I was just like, awesome. That's so cool. So from 2020 until I graduated in 2024, I didn't take an exam or a final, unless if it was a project. They were like, if you have an A- or above, you don't have to take the final unless if it's a project. Then you have to do it, which was so stupid, by the way. Because then every teacher was like, oh, we're going to do a project. And I was just like, screw you and your projects. I'm not doing this. I think my senior year, my English teacher wanted us to do a project. And it was about, like, us. Like, what we had learned through high school. And I was like, I already did this. And I already did this in a different class. I'm going to get kind of off topic. But in my high school, we had this class called the Senior Exit class. Union County kids, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This class was the worst class ever. I hated it with every bone in my body, specifically the teacher. So, I'm gonna call him out too, I don't care. So, senior year was split into 2 semesters. First semester, you could either take Senior Exit or like it wasn't business, it was finance. It was like a finance class. Either class you took, you didn't learn shit in it, so it doesn't matter. So I took finance my first semester, and I took Senior Exit my second semester. The 2 teachers that had started it were Mrs. Barnheiser and Mrs. Hill. They started this 20 years ago, so it's old as dirt. Well, Mrs. Hill stopped being a teacher and became a guidance counselor. So then to fill her spot, they hired Mr. Bales. I hated Mr. Bales. He was awesome that first day until he got racist. And then I was like, you're done. We're done. So one of my best friends from home, Faith, in middle school, we got confused for looking exactly alike. But once we hit high school, we didn't anymore, obviously. So I guess one day he just got us confused or something. Well, I hadn't seen her in 3 weeks, so I was telling her stuff that had happened over break, ooh, Christmas, my birthday, whatever. And Mr. Bales looked at me and goes, oh god, he goes, hey little Latino girl in the back, stop talking. And I was like, I looked around and like my friends were sitting in front of me and I looked at them and I looked at Faith and I was like, did he really just say that? I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Well then, not only did he teach this senior exit class, but he also taught 11th grade English. So he's talking about it, like he brings it back up in this English class. And I guess somebody put the two pieces together and they were like, oh my God, he's talking about Kayce and Faith. So she came to me and told me about it and I was like, are you serious? I was like, hop off, dude. Like, leave me alone. I was like, oh my God, I talked for 5 seconds after you told me to stop talking. Wah, cry me a river, I'm an adult, I'll do whatever I want. So then, like I said, he started being racist, not only towards me making that one comment, because I'm not Latino. I am not, no. He started making racist comments towards my friend Dwayne, who was Faith's boyfriend. Shout out, Faith, I love you. But Dwayne is black, and Mr. Bales would make these just little comments at him. I don't know if he remembers this, but I do. Within the first day, Mr. Bales asked Dwayne about his middle name, and he was like, is that the mailman's name? We were like, I was the only one that heard it, and I was like, what? I just kind of sat there and I was like, you okay? But there was one comment that he made to Dwayne that was absolutely insane, and like we all just sat there in shock that he said it. But I was just like, are you serious? But then he like made fat comments to my other friend Alex, and it was just like, dude. So we ended up filing like a report on this guy. He's not fired, he still works there. He's gotten worse, like 10 times worse. But back to like what the senior exit class is. So you had to show, like, okay, after you were done with this binder, so you had to have a binder full of like 50 examples of these 7 categories. So there was like communication, like responsibilities, like dumb shit. So you had to write, like you had to have a theme of your senior exit. So my theme was growth and how I've grown from quiet, you know, I'm still smart, but like I went from like quiet, smart, kept my mouth shut to, oh my God, what the fuck is this? Like, you know, and it was, oh my God, it was awful. So I did the whole senior exit all by myself because even though I'd asked for help from other teachers, they obviously could not provide me with the help that the senior exit teacher was supposed to provide me with. So what's funny about Mr. Bales is that Mrs. Barnheiser was like, hey man, I'm here to help you. Like, I started this program, and he's like, no, I don't want your help. I'm going to figure it out on my own time. He should have taken that help. Oh my God, I can't stress this enough. Take the help if it is offered to you, especially if you don't know what you're doing. How are you going to do your job and not do it right? Every time I talk about Mr. Bales, I get so angry because I literally hate him so much. He ruined the second half of my senior year. Like, the moment that class started, I was pissed off for the rest of my senior year. I was like, I can't wait to get the fuck up at this bitch. I was like, we're done. I was like, I'm done with this high school. Like, I fucking hate it here. So he had uploaded an assignment, and like I said, every single assignment that he uploaded on Canvas, no description. It was just upload, like, business cards is this next thing I'm going to talk about. We had to make a business card for our profession and what we were going to do. Well, 18-year-old me, well, I'm only 19, but 18-year-old me was convinced that I was going to be a criminal psychologist. That shit didn't work out. I'm not doing that no more. So my whole binder was about criminal psychology and whatever. So you had to make these business cards about your business, obviously. So you had to have, like, your name, your email address, your phone number, your address, and then, like, job title. That way people could contact you, you know. Hey, I'm a businessman. Contact me if you need my help. I don't know about y'all, but every single business card I've ever seen in my entire life is only a front. The backside has nothing on it. It's completely fucking blank. My mom has a business card, but on the back, it's specifically for the people who come into her office. If they take a business card, they can write down the next time their appointment is. I'm not doing that shit. That's way too much. Also, because I don't care. I'm not gonna. These are not business cards I'm gonna provide to people whenever I became a criminal psychologist. That's not what my goal was in that moment. I was like, submit the damn assignment and move on. Whatever. Of course, no description, no nothing, whatever. So, not only did I design my own business cards, I also designed like 4 other people's business cards for them. Because they were like, Kayce, how the fuck do I do this? And I was like, let me show ya. So I ended up doing it for them, which, not a big deal, whatever. So I only did the front. And then finally, whenever Mr. Bales decided, oh, I'm going to grade this, he finally graded it and gave me a 25 out of 50. Obviously, I was pissed. And I did the High School Musical, so I'm at practice, and I knew that he was still at school. So I went to his classroom after school, like a grown adult, and I was like, hey, man, what's going on? Like, my grade dropped. What happened? You're unprofessional. You didn't do it back. You need to learn this, and you need to do this, and blah, blah, blah. I snapped, told him to go fuck himself, and I said, you didn't provide any description on how to do the assignment, so suck it. You didn't provide nothing. No, you just uploaded it on Canvas and didn't even tell us that you uploaded it. So a lot of kids submitted it 3 days late because they didn't even know it was there. The fact that he said it's unprofessional, you need to learn how to do better, I need to learn how to do better, learn how to do your job, dude. I was like, he doesn't even have business cards. He's too fucking stupid. Like, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? And like I said, I was at musical practice, and I did not have a scene until like the second act. So I'm standing backstage on the phone with my mom screaming about this guy. I'm like, Mom, like, he sucks. I was like, he doesn't know how to do his damn job. I was like, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit. She was like, okay. She's like, take a screenshot of the Canvas thing, take a screenshot of your business cards, and send it to me. I sent it to her. It's still in our text messages, I think. But I had sent it to her, and she was like, okay, you are not wrong. She's like, why the fuck would you have a back on a business card? She had sent me hers, and I was just like, well, I'm not doing that. That's so much more work. And it's not in the it's not in the upload, like, description. Why the fuck would I do that? So then she was like, you have a point. She's like, whatever. So the next day, I was sitting in his class, and he came up to me, and he made the snarkiest little comment ever. He's like, did you make those backs yet? And I hit him with did you grade my damn paper yet? And I was like, you're not going to talk to me like that. You've got me fucked up. And the way that he treated me after that, because while I was on the phone with my mom, like I said, I was very angry, because a lot of people at musical said that I was very loud. I was bright red. I was pissed. You're going to tell me how to learn how to make business cards? Learn how to do your damn job first, by the way. But I was, because he had walked by while I was on the phone, and I was like, this bitch, Mr. Bales. And I was like, and he came walking towards me, and I was like, oopsies. I was like, my bad. Whoops. So the next day, like I said, he was like, did you learn how to make them? And I was like, did you grade my damn assignment yet? And in this classroom, there were 2 other teachers. So we had a special ed class, and those kids would come down and do this class as well. So the teacher was also in there, and then we had another kid who had a teacher that walked around with him all the time. And she was also in there. And he was so rude to them, always, 24/7. And then he would say the stuff that he did to us, the racial comments, the fat jokes, the way that he talked to me and the way that I would talk back. I understand, don't disrespect your teachers. Whenever you disrespect me is whenever I'm going to disrespect you. You showed me disrespect that first day whenever we came back from winter break. And that's the same thing I say to college professors. You disrespect me, I'm going to disrespect you. I understand it's college and it's a lot more serious. I'm here to get a degree, not be treated like a child. Treat me like an adult because I am one. Point blank, period. I understand I was in high school, and the way that I acted towards Mr. Bales should have not happened. I should have been responsible and just been like, okay, whatever. There was one day he had made a snarky ass comment, and I had made one right back. Oh, he was up front and talking. He was talking in front of the whole class. Whole time he's talking, I'm just making fun of him. He was like, y'all got to do this. I said, you got to grade this first. He's like, we got to write these essays. And I said, you ever going to grade them? I was like, you're never going to grade these essays. And he was just, oh my God, he was so pissed. He came back to me and he's like, I should kick you out of my class. And I was like, do it then. You won't. I was like, kick me out. You're not going to, because I know that you won't, because you'll know exactly what I'll do. I'll go down to the front office and run my mouth and tell them exactly what you're doing. You're being racist. You're not doing your damn job. I was like, you're more worried about what the gossip is in your class. And so he starts going off one day about respect. He's like, well, nobody respects me. Like, I'm a teacher and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you're also a grown-ass man who should just take it. You don't care. You don't care about doing your damn job. Why do you care so much about being disrespected? There was one day, oh, this was a different day, shit. He said, I work from 8:15 to 3:15. And I said, then why are you a teacher? And then to follow that up, I said, is that why you got fired from being a teacher before? He's had like 3 other teaching jobs. And he says that he quit. You got fired, dude. Just admit it. You got fired. But I was just like, are you kidding me? I work from 8:15 to 3:15. Okay, I'm scheduled from 4 to 10, but I don't get out until 10:30. Dumbass. I was like, it's your job. You're a teacher. I was like, I know kindergarten teachers who do more than you do. And they've got smaller kids and easier assignments. So the senior exit, you had to present it whenever you were done. I had picked like April, whatever. And I presented it. He was at my senior exit. I didn't want him there. God forbid. That was the last thing I wanted, because my mom and dad did not like him. My dad was like, if he says something stupid, I'm going to start screaming at him. And I was like, you don't even have to do it. I'll do it. I was like, I'll scream at him in front of all those people. I had like 35 people at my senior exit. I was like, I want all these people to see this dumbass shit that I've had to do for the last 3 months. So at my senior exit, it was him and then Mrs. Barnheiser and then the 2 other graders I had invited. Because you needed, for some odd reason, my binder was graded before the exam. Or before the presentation, but then you had to have other people there to grade your presentation, which was so fucking stupid. So he had shown up, and then right before he left, he was like, it was great. And I literally hit him with the I know. In front of Mrs. Barnheiser, in front of Mrs. Albright, my choir teacher, and then I invited my math teacher and then a science teacher. And I was just like, yeah, I know. It was fucking amazing, and I know that. Because in my introduction essay I wrote, this is the dumbest class I've ever had to take. I said, you hire a teacher who can't even teach it. That's literally what it said in my essay. I was like, dumbest class, teacher who can't teach. I was like, I've struggled throughout this whole class, this whole time. I'm like, I've been offered no help. I was like, whatever. I'll figure it out on my own. And I did. And I got a 100 on it, by the way. Soared. So then after that, after you do your senior exit, you're supposed to keep doing assignments. I'm not fucking doing that. You've got me fucked up. I was like, I'm not doing any more assignments. Like, whatever. Screw you. So, I had finished it, and the next day, he's like, oh my God, it was beautiful. And I went, yeah, I know. Because I did it. It's obviously beautiful. I did it all by myself. He didn't grade my essays for another fucking month. Those essays, like I said, my senior exit was April 2nd, 2024. They were submitted March 1st of 2024. They sat in that damn canvas for 2 months before they were even graded. Because I finally went up to him one day after school and I said, are you going to do your fucking job and grade this shit or not? Oh, I literally said it like that. And he just looked at me like a fish out of water, like, what? You can't talk to me like that. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I was like, I'll talk to you however I want. And then I got sent to the office. So I'm down there, and the principal's talking to me, and he's like, you can't talk to him like that. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I literally said it straight to the principal. I was like, what are you going to do, call my mom? Mommy, I badmouthed the teacher who's racist. I sorry. I did not care. I did not give two shits. I was like, this man is not going to sit there and act like a grown, he's acting like a child. I was like, I'm not doing that shit. I was like, no. And then, like, a few days later, I get called down again to the office, and I was like, bro, what did I do? I was like, I haven't said anything to Mr. Bales in like 3 days at this point. he was like, so we had a report that Mr. Bales was being racist towards you. And I was like, dude, that happened 3 fucking months ago, and now you want to do something about it? And I was just like, yeah, like, he called me a little Latino girl, whatever. Like, shut up in the back. And I was just like, you don't have to be like that, dude. Like, I did nothing to you. The whole first week, I was super respectful to him because he was a brand new teacher. And at the time, that had flown right over my head. I didn't, like, grasp onto it until somebody was like, hey, like, that was racist towards you. And I was just like, I didn't find it racist towards me because I'm not Latino. But at the same time, I was just like, that is a racial comment, though, towards Latino people. And I was just like, that's fucking crazy. So, I was just like, all right. So the principal's talking to me about it, and he's like, we take things like that very seriously here. And I was like, no, the fuck you don't. I was like, you don't, but okay, whatever. But I was just like, okay, whatever. So he's like, here, like, fill out this report, He's like, don't tell anybody about it, obviously, it's super secret. I get back to the classroom, and that was the first thing I held up, because I was in a different class, and I was like, y'all will never believe what this guy just handed me. My science teacher was like, Kayce, you can't be talking about that. And I was like, I don't care. I was like, I don't care. So I filled out the paper, I gave the story, I went back to go turn it into him, and he's got business cards sitting on his desk. And I was like, is that your business card? And he's like, yeah, why? I held it up and I said, Mr. Bales thinks that you're unprofessional and you need to learn how to become a professional. And he goes, have a nice day, Miss May. And I was like, oh, Randy, I'm going to have an amazing day. Thank you. I'll see you later. And I left. I was just like, whatever. So then finally it's the last day of this class. And I'm sitting in this class and I was just like, because my mom and dad were like the type where like, you have to go to school. I know it's the last day, but you have to go. And I was just like, I'm going to lose my shit. So I'm sitting in his class and I was just like, man, this really sucks. And he came up to me and he's like, he's like, I feel like we've had our differences. And I was like, no, you're just fucking stupid. And then I left. I literally just grabbed all my stuff and I left and I went to a different room. You weren't supposed to do that because it was finals week and whatever. But I was just like, I'm not going to sit in here with this moron. It's like, why would I do that to myself? So then I left and I didn't talk to him again. But other than that, like, he just, oh my God, I just remembered this. My choir teacher had pneumonia. So right before, so my choir teacher she is the musical director. She is the musical director. I can't stress this enough. She will always be the musical director until she quits on her own accord. Union County High School, I hope you heard that. Do not try to kick my girl, Mrs. Albright, out. I will fight for her. Hands swinging, swear. We had musical tryouts in October. At this point, Mr. Bales was not there. December, we had started working on songs and choreography and stuff like that. We come back from Christmas break. Mrs. Albright is out sick with pneumonia. Like, really bad. Mr. Bales had done musicals at his old high schools. He takes it upon himself that he is just going to come to musical practice. 2 girls, they were sisters actually, had kind of like became the directors of the musical. And I was the stage manager, so I was also like, quote unquote, in charge. But you can't just have a bunch of kids sitting in an auditorium after a high school day. Like, there has to be an adult there. So one of our teachers, her name is Mrs. Brandon. I love you so much, Mrs. Brandon. She would stay after school with us and supervise. And there was one day Mr. Bales showed up to practice. And he was convinced. He's like, oh, I'm going to become the director of this musical and I'm going to make it however I want. Newsies is a Broadway musical. You cannot change a musical that was on Broadway, jackass. So, whatever. So, he starts coming to practice and he's like, oh, you guys should do this and you guys should do that. And I literally at one point, I was like, Mr. Bales, you need to leave. Like, you need to go, whatever. So, like I said, Mrs. Albright was out sick, so we had to push the musical back a whole month. Whenever she came back, we had already learned a lot of our lines, songs, whatever. Because she would upload them on Canvas for us, or somebody would upload them on Canvas for us to, like, practice. And again, I didn't have more than 10 lines. I think I had, like, 8. because I played a character, but then I also was backstage a lot moving furniture around. So I would also be like, hey man, or like, hey, this is all right. Like, is there anything that you need help with? Like, let me know. And of course, she never got back to me. And of course, I'm not gonna get mad at her for it. She was literally sick and dying, whatever. She came back in like the middle of February. And not only was she the musical director, but she was also the choir teacher. Mr. Bales would leave his class unsupervised for like 15 minutes and come down to the choir room. Every single day. Every day, whenever she had a class. There was one time we were all in there, and so we had a bottom choir and a top choir. It was Patriot Concert Choir and then Patriot Singers. So I was in both. And in Patriot Singers, which was top choir, we were all singing, whatever. She's got her mask on, she's playing the piano. And she's like, whenever you guys come down here to sing, like, I want you to stay a little bit back. That way you don't get me sick and I don't get you sick, vice versa, whatever. Awesome. Mr. Bales comes in to the class, stands directly behind her, starts flipping the pages of the music for her, and then he, like, rubs her shoulders and he's like, oh, isn't she just an amazing choir teacher? And I'm like, dude, if she turned around and swung on you right now, I would not hesitate. Moment he left, she goes, lock the door. So then, every single time after that, we locked the door. After every single class, we would lock that door, whatever. Not a big deal. Like, we figured it out. And again, he was just so, like, that was what had ruined the second half of my senior year, was literally just Mr. Bales. I was like, this high school is awful. I was like, they're not going to do anything about him. He was supposed to be fired during spring break. We were supposed to come back because he was like, I don't think I'm going to be here whenever you guys get back from spring break. And I said, I hope so. Like, whenever he said that, that's whenever I said that. And then he looked at me and, like, gave me the dirtiest look. And I was like, I hope you're not here whenever we come back. I was like, because not only do you suck at your job, but you are so disrespectful. And then I graduated. Thank God. Best and worst day of my life. I graduated and then 3 hours later my hamster died. What the fuck? I went through all of that during senior year just for my hamster to die. Awesome. But I have not seen him since. But the high school has a Facebook account where you can see, like, the pictures from the yearbook that is uploaded. Speaking of the yearbook, by the way, one thing that really pisses me off. I was in the yearbook like 8 times, and I was the manager of our football team. How the fuck you gonna spell my name wrong whenever I'm in there 8 other times? I had a senior portrait where my name was huge. Can't fucking miss it. Kayce. Hello. You flip to the football page. Kacey. Bitch, are you for real? Be serious right now. Be fucking for real. I was pissed. And I was like, I didn't even pay for the yearbook, but it was like $90 fucking dollars. I was like, are you serious? I didn't buy any other yearbook for this reason. My senior year. And you fucked it up. I was pissed. Speaking of, by the way, school does not tell you when the yearbooks come in. They came in after we graduated. I had to go to the high school and pick that shit up myself. And I'm just like, this fucking sucks. I was like, this is awful. I had found out from somebody this year that they were gonna put a picture of a kid throwing up in the yearbook. Like, at a football game. Because he was on the team, and his quote was gonna be like, the team meal fucked me up real bad, or like messed me up. I was like, are you serious? No, the lady, so we had a specific teacher. Oh, she pissed me off too. Okay, so the teacher that is in charge of the yearbook barely does anything for it, by the way. She barely works on it herself. I've seen her take pictures, but she's just like, let me get a picture of you guys walking down the hallway. And we're like, bitch, don't take a picture of me. Like, hello. So it was during football and soccer season. And me and my friend were at a soccer game, and she looks at me and was like, hey, did you know that this teacher cheated on her husband? And I was like, what? So, nobody, they're not gonna hear this. So it was the vice principal, it's his wife, who's a teacher at the high school. She cheated on him. It was a rumor, and I'm pretty sure it happened, but they came to school for like a week, no wedding rings. She looked like a mess. And I was just like, ooh, this is rough. But I was just like, are you serious? But every time I saw her, she was just, she always tries to act like she's 10 times better than everybody else because her husband's the vice principal. But she's in charge of the yearbook. She's supposed to review it. And I've had friends who were in yearbook, and she would jump on their ass if they messed something up. What happened, Ashley? You don't care anymore? I was like, are you serious? You fucking spelled my name wrong. I was like, do you not review this? I understand it's like 80 pages you have to review, but you have to be careful because that is not my money, but it's my parents' money that is being spent to buy this dumbass yearbook for this dumbass high school. It's like, are you kidding me right now? So obviously she's not doing her job, and I think that teacher should be replaced, but who cares? I don't go there anymore, but whatever. Another thing that made me super mad, back to the senior exit program, was whenever you passed, you got this pin, like a push pin type thing into your shirt. If I can put a hole in my dress, thanks, by the way. You had to wear that at graduation or else you could not walk. I showed up and I'm like one of fucking 20 kids who has it on. There's 100 kids in my graduating class. And I had to wear this, so it's there was the summa cum laude, the magna cum laude, and then cum laude. The summa one, which was just like a 3.9 to a 4.0 GPA, was like a tail kind of thing. So instead of being like, I don't know how else to describe it, the magna and the cum laude were like a scarf. Like you just like throw it on and it'd be like that. Imagine wrapping the scarf like around your neck, so it's like a necklace type thing, and then it like flows down your back like a fishtail. And it's long. So whenever you sat on it, it would choke you. I don't know if it was just me or not, but it would do that. And I've got this pin in, so it's holding it in place. And the agricultural teacher at the high school, I don't even remember what her name was, she came up to me and she's like, here, Kayce, like, let me fix your thing, because I had it on all fucking wrong. She's like, here, let me fix it. She's like, it has to choke you. So she like pulled on it, and I was like, but like, whatever. She's like, it won't move. And I was like, yeah, I've got this pin in it. And she's like, oh, honey, you didn't have to wear that. I was pissed. I was like, are you kidding me right now? So I looked at her and I said, say JK. I said, say JK right now. She's like, huh? And I said, say you're lying to me. And she's like, no, you don't have to wear that. I was like, I literally thought I was going to die if I didn't wear this pin. And I was like, what if I just run outside and throw it in my car real quick? I was like, no, I busted my ass for this dumbass pin. I'm going to wear it. Whatever. And I ended up wearing it at graduation, and I slayed. By the way, thanks for asking. But it was just so, oh my God. That whole second semester of high school, I was just like a prisoner in my cell. I'm like, let me out, please. And at a certain point, my mom was also like, I'm ready for you to get the fuck out of there. She's like, this is awful. And I was just like, yeah, it is. And then there was this was kind of towards the end of the year. So I had decided in like the summer of my junior year, I'm going to come to Ball State. I was like, I'm going to go to Ball State, point blank period. I don't care. And at the time, we had these two guidance counselors. We're like, over Christmas break, they quit. So for like a month, we didn't have a guidance counselor. Nobody had a guidance counselor at all. Nobody had any guidance, as I should say. So we didn't have a guidance counselor, and then this one came in. I don't even remember what her name was. I just did not like her at all. She was a bitch. She sucked at her job, and I think she still does. Whatever. At the end of the year, they sent out an email, and they were like, we're starting to do Ivy Tech dual credit classes, and if you want to take one over the summer, you can. For seniors. Seniors can take one over the summer. And I was like, oh, this would be awesome. Let me take a psychology class over the summer. But let me call Ball State and see what they say. I had gotten accepted to Ball State in August. And it's May. So I'm like clawing. I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. I was ready to come to Ball State, whatever. So I called the admissions office and they were like, well, do you want to do that? They were like, you get the Ivy Tech credit. And I was like, yeah. And then they were like, you take that Ivy Tech credit and transfer it to Ball State. And I was like, yeah. They were like, you have to become an Ivy Tech like a Ivy Tech student to have the Ivy Tech credit. I was like, yes, you're correct. They were like, that would make you a transfer student, and then that would open a can of worms that you don't want to open. I was like, awesome. So no, I don't want to do it. So I ended up not filling out the email because there was no option for, no, I don't want to take any of these dumbass classes. Whatever. So, like a few days later, I get called down to the guidance counselor's office, and I'm in there for 45 minutes fighting for my life. This guidance counselor, again, I don't remember her name. We're going to call her Betty because I don't remember her. She's like, hey, Kayce, like, I saw that you didn't fill this email out. Like, why didn't you? And I told her, like, exactly the reason. Called Ball State. They told me this. Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. She was like, why Ball State? And I was like, well, they're the only college that ever reached out to me a lot. Like, they're super helpful, and it's, like, close but not close to home. I don't really have a reason for coming to Ball State. It's just I like it here. Sue me. Sorry. She was like, well, I don't like that you chose Ball State. And I said, well, I don't give a fuck what you like. I don't care. And she was like, we're gonna go through some other colleges that I think that you should go to. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Before my junior year, the guidance counselor that I had before her, she was stupid too. She was like, I had told her that I wanted to go to IU East and Ivy Tech. Obviously, I changed my mind. But she was like, and then she was like, you should take pre-calc. And I was like, fuck that, I'm not taking that class. I should have taken it because then I had to take it here and it fucking sucked. And I was like, no, I'm not taking that. She was like, well, if you don't take it, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I had said something about taking a different class, and she's like, well, with the colleges that you gave me, it wouldn't really help with your major. Bitch, I don't even know my major. How do you know what I'm going to college for? I was like, hello? I gotta stop saying hello. It's so stupid. But I was just like, what? It's like, you don't know what I'm gonna be. I don't even know what I'm gonna be. Like, nobody knows. I don't know what I want to be whenever I'm an adult. Like, sue me. I'm so sorry. But then, so then I'm sitting there with Betty, and she's just like, well, I think that you should go here and here. And I was just like, piss off. Like, I'm not going there. Well, then it had ended up turning into basically her telling me I'm going to apply for these schools. And I told her to go fuck herself. I was like, I'm not doing that. Well, then she called my mom, and she's just like, this is what your daughter said to me. And then she's like, you should listen to my daughter. Sorry. No, that's not what she said, but that's what she had told me. And she was like, well, I talked to her about it, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I understand why you said that. And I was just like, yeah, she hurt my feelings. Well, I think that you should go here. I don't give a damn where you think I should go. I don't care. I'm an adult, and I chose this decision for myself. I'm sorry. But so, like I said, I graduated, whatever. I came to Ball State, and there has been no issues since then. But my friend Haley is still in high school, and they started doing the Ivy Tech dual credit courses, and it literally sounds like hell. I'm like, I'm so glad that they were too stupid to figure it out whenever I was there, whatever. They could not figure out how to set it up, I guess, or if they even wanted to do it. But now they don't care about the students. They don't care about that. I think all they care about is the money that comes in from the kids doing it. Because the school was literally dirt poor. Dirt fucking poor. Like, but whatever. But no, Union County High School is awful. They don't care about their kids, point blank period. Even whenever I was there as a freshman, they don't give a shit. They just want you to get in and get the fuck out, basically. Which, understandable. I understand. But whenever you're more worried about what I'm wearing than my education, that's a whole nother subject. But whenever you're more worried about my outfit than my education, are you for real? That happened a lot during my freshman and my sophomore year, where teachers were like, you can't wear those shorts. Like, they would stop in the middle of class to tell me that. And I'm just like, can you just keep going? I was like, I don't give a shit. I was like, I don't care. Whatever. But yeah, it was just like, it was hell on earth, Union County. It was awful. A lot of kids love it. I remember one kid I did the musical with, they were trying to get rid of AP Lit. Or AP Lit. I think it's AP Lit, which was AP Literature that Mrs. Barnheiser taught. They were trying to get rid of it because apparently only 4 kids signed up for it. But he's like, I want to keep the class because it's an important class. Like, He's like, I'm an AP kid, I'm gonna take it. But apparently they were trying to they were gonna shut the class down and not tell Mrs. Marheiser about it. So she was just not gonna have this class, and then she was gonna be lost in the dark, and they just weren't gonna tell her about it. I don't know. I'm not making this shit up. Like, I cannot make this up. The district itself is just awful. We had one nurse. We had 4 schools in our district. So we had LES, CCUS, I think that's what it was, which was the other elementary school that was 15 minutes away from LES, and then the middle school, and then the high school. The elementary school and the high school were connected through like a giant hallway. And then the middle school was like a fourth of a mile away from the high school. So if there was a kid bleeding out and dying and the nurse was at CCUS, she had to leave there and go all the way to the middle school. CCUS, I think that's what it is, sat on the Indiana-Ohio line. So half the schools in Ohio and half the schools in Indiana. And that was about a 10, 15-minute drive away if you did the speed limit away from the rest of the schools. So kids that left CCUS would come to the middle school and the high school. So College Corner kids would graduate with all the Union County kids. So it was just, like, I remember in elementary school we had like 2 nurses. And then you get to middle school and there was only 1 nurse. But there was still a nurse. And then you get to high school and then randomly the whole district only has 1 nurse. I had a friend where she was like, if I, for whatever reason, break a bone, she had to take medicine immediately or else she'd die. Nurse's office was locked if she wasn't there. Bullshit, you should leave that unlocked. I understand you don't want kids to break in and steal Tylenol and do drugs or whatever. Or OD on Tylenol. I don't know. I understand that. But whenever there are certain situations where, like, let's say a kid needs an EpiPen, they're not allowed to carry it on them. They have to leave it in the nurse's office. How the fuck they gonna get in? You have to run all the way down to the office, which was halfway down the hallway, get the key, if they would give it to you, from there, go all the way back to the nurse's office, and then get the EpiPen, and then run all the way back down to your classroom. Because God forbid the nurse's office was at the very, very front of the school, and she was never there. But my friend who, thankfully she never broke a bone. She thought she did once, but they just took her to the hospital. Like, she took the medicine. Thankfully, the nurse was there. She took the medicine, and then she went to the hospital, and she was fine. But it was just like, how do you only have 1 nurse? Like, it's a big safety issue. Like, what if a kid was bleeding out and dying? And then we had, like, 2 hazard teachers, I guess, if that's what you want to call them. So if 2 students were getting into a fight, only these 2 teachers could step in and separate them. Which was so fucking stupid. Because one of the teachers taught at the middle school. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesdays or Thursdays, this teacher would be here who was like 6'7", 300 pounds. And then the other hazard teacher is a 5'7", 200-pound teacher. By the way, there was like a foot difference. But if this one teacher had to separate this very violent fight, he was all by himself. Or hopefully that other teacher would be there. But I was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. There would be a bomb threat at my high school, and they would leave us in the school. They would not evacuate us. They'd leave us in there. They'd have a police officer come down. They were more worried about finding vapes and the weed cartridges more than they were worried about our safety. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 on this because this is there's so much shit that has gone on that literally makes me so angry. Like, that high school is awful, awful. And I'm not saying like burn it down, but I'm just saying like work on it. Make it better. Make it safer. Make it a better environment. They're trying so hard to make it a better environment, but they're making it worse. By implementing new rules, setting new boundaries. Like, you're sucking dick at this point, dude. Like, you just suck. You literally just suck. But it's awful. Union County was literally awful. My Union County kids, like, I literally can't make this shit up. It's not a joke. It's awful. And they talk about, like, the high schools around us being worse with like violence and drugs and stuff like that. No. A lot of kids at Union County are very hostile. I don't even care about drugs. Like, I was more worried about my safety. I was more worried about I was worried about sitting in a classroom full of 30 other kids and being shot. But there will definitely be a part 2 to this, because I cannot get over this. Every single time I talk about this, it pisses me off. Like, I'm like red, I'm like hot, I can feel it. But yeah. If you guys are listening to this on Spotify or Apple, please leave a like and leave a review on this. That way I know, like, I don't know. If you guys just want to leave a comment on something else that you want me to talk about, please let me know. I'm running out of ideas. Literally, I have nothing to talk about. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and make sure to tune back in next week. Probably still gonna be talking about the high school, but yeah.
College Life Unscripted is a production of Jack Ringenberg Media. This episode was produced by Jack Ringenberg and Kayce May. For more Jack Ringenberg content, visit us online at jackringenberg.com. The views and opinions in this episode belong to the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Jack Ringenberg Media or Jack Ringenberg.